Oh, baby. We're talking about the lovely For Fun region,
Did you start it?
the LCS. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Were you ready?
I wasn't.
Okay, good. That's perfect. That's the way I like it. All right, so
Awesome.
this week we're going into the NALCS for what week? It's week 6, right?
Are you talking about for NA?
Yeah,
It is week 6.
week 6, and the games are going to be really interesting. I hope you guys like this NA format we're trying out. We're gonna try out like day predictions and stuff like that, but we'll see how it works. We'll try and switch off as much as we can. So this is the rankings I had for the teams, the far as standings as I'm predicting, or as we should be predicting, because the teams in the league are looking kind of bad, and everybody's criticizing North America. We're all bad, and our games are too long. I mean, I think I've heard it all at this point. Actually, the first game we have this week coming up is Clutch versus 100 Thieves. But that's a big one, considering the fact that it's going to have massive playoff implications because the person that loses that is in dead last. So it's a really interesting fact of the matter. But what do you feel about North America's play at the moment?
I mean, again, I don't think anybody besides the top two teams right now are playing substantially well. I think TSM's kind of picking it back up, but I don't think anybody is playing to a standard where I think they could compete with an international opponent. Team Liquid is even at then. I think they've kind of fallen off to where I think they're the most dominant by far. I do think Cloud9's catching up slightly, which is kind of surprising considering how well they started off at the beginning of the season. I think the next time these two teams face, it's gonna be actually. I think it's gonna be extremely close because I think Licorice, and Licorice is gonna have a handle like on the game a lot, like in comparison to the last one. I think that it's gonna end up the same way. Licorice is gonna dominate the top lane against Impact. Um, I think that Svenskeren picked it up. So all around, I think the top two teams are solidified, and I think they are actually a little bit closer than people expect at this point. But everybody else is extremely disappointing, and no one else. I don't think there's a single other person where I could say they're definitively better than the rest of the league. I think third. I'm TSM. We've seen them. If you just count last week, I would have called them like fifth or sixth place. But like considering that week that happened, like right after that week, we saw TSM pretty much dominate what I would say are the middle of the packs of the like we saw the FlyQuest game. So I think that TSM has pretty much got into the third place position, but I'm not going to say it's very.
Solidified
I said solidified too many times, so I was trying to find a different word.
or
But
concrete?
it's there we go. It's not a concrete third at this point. I think that like I could see anybody overtaking them next week. Let me see what the. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think there's a different. I mean, it's really hard to kind of put it. I don't think because people are just saying North America's bad. What the world is that? I muted my notifications.
You did not.
This is a hot girl. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so a lot of people are saying North America's bad, but I don't get that same feeling from EU either. Like, if I'm being honest, outside of like Vitality and G2, EU's not that much better. And if you look at Misfits, Origin, and Schalke, they're not that much better than CLG,
I
FlyQuest, and
wouldn't even
Optic.
put Vitality a step above the middle of the pack teams. To be honest, I don't think they're that good. I do not think that they're that much better than the rest of the league, but I do think individually, EU completely outclasses a lot of the middle tier, even the top tier 80 teams in NA. I think that a lot of them just outclass individual skill. But I'll give credit to Cloud9. I do think they look substantially better than they did at the beginning of last year. I think that Sneaky's playing better than he did pretty much the entirety of last year. So I think this team really does have a high. Niski stepped it up quite a bit, but there's a lot to be left, like in terms of just comparison to EU, because there are just too many good players in EU in comparison. Like we see even the third place team, if we go to Schalke, I think Schalke is still in third at this place.
I
I think
think
that upset, we go to
Yeah,
Memento, all
well,
of these
if you go
people.
to like Misfits, Origin, Splice, and Schalke, they're all like super inconsistent, relying on very like one-dimensional win conditions. But that's
I don't
no, but that's no different than 100 Thieves or CLG or Golden Guardians, really.
Well, again, I do not think that they're one dimensional. I just think they're really inconsistent. I'll give them that. But their macro is not. I don't think anybody besides. No, actually, I wouldn't give anybody too much credit in terms of the macro scene
I
in
think
the
none
EU
of the
scene.
macro is good. I think that if you look at even some of their games compared to ours, most of theirs are complete stomps.
There is a substantial difference between EU and NA because again, there's just too much individual talent in EU in comparison. Like all of the uh, all of the teams in EU have at least one superstar, in my opinion. Some of them have two, some of them have three. Like NA, I think we have a few superstars in the league. Like, but we don't even see a superstar until we get towards the top half of the league. But I think
Yeah,
that
it makes. I mean that makes sense, but I'm just not getting that feeling
you,
from
it's
both
not about a
regions.
feeling. It's
I feel like that
again,
both are bad outside of like at least like
I
three
mean,
teams.
again, there it's more so about the quality of the lower tier teams that we're talking about. You're comparing the two regions.
Yeah.
I do think that bottom half of both of the regions is terrible, but the EU scene is just substantially better. Like Fnatic right now is probably able to be up to 2 to 3. I mean, second. I think they would do it pretty decent as it stands right now against the top 3 to 2 teams. I don't think anybody like again like I don't think Fnatic is a top 2 to 3 team in EU. Like I like the NA scene, and I do think they're gradually developing. I think that this is probably one of the better years we've had, but we are not again in terms of just individual talent. I don't think we're on the same level, but I do think that Team Liquid has the talent to beat G2 like towards the end of the year. I do think their individual players do match up kind of well against them. So I do have hope for that. I'm not saying EU has always been better, and I'm not saying EU is going to be better. I'm just saying as it stands, EU is better right now.
I think yeah, but it's not by a lot as much people are making it out to be.
I mean, I think it is by quite a bit, but again, I think people over exaggerate.
Because
But
just because
it's
you're taking longer for games doesn't mean you're because people automatically get in their minds longer games mean bad.
well, no, it's
That's
not
just a
just
bronze mentality right there.
well, it's not just that. I mean, there is a lot of more. There's a lot more decisiveness in EU. I think there's a lot of early game aggression that we really don't see in NA. Like, what team has early game aggression in NA?
Beside Cloud9, no one.
Cloud9's not really aggressive, really either. In comparison, I think they're like there's not really an aggressive team early game. Like maybe TSM, I would say, but for the most part, we don't see that decisiveness that we see in EU, and that's really just prevalent throughout all of the teams. Even Rogue right now have Kasing, who's just making plays happen.
Kasing is
Like
on Excel.
yeah, oh Kasing is on, that's Vander. Even Rogue has Vander, and he's really decisive. Right, he's bringing the team into a situation where I think they really like once they get something happening, they know how to keep the ball rolling for a bit. They just lack the individual talent for the most part. Like that's not something I even see from like go like FlyQuest to struggle with that a lot sometimes. Like honestly, like like again, I don't think that Rogue is better than FlyQuest, but I do think in terms of just decisiveness is the big reason as to why a lot of people are saying that EU is better than NA.
Uh, yeah, I feel what you're saying. So, what do you feel about the matches moving up this week?
Okay, the first match of the day is TSM versus Echo Fox. I do not think this is going to be that close. I think that TSM, as it stands right now, are in a substantially better position. See, TSM recently has been playing better. Echo Fox just had an 0-2 week. On top of the fact,
They gave Rush
like,
its first 0-2 week.
but like
Feels
again,
bad, man.
Phoenix is as it stands right now only one that I would say is playing substantially decent. Like even the bot lane is struggling a little bit. Solo has been playing slightly better, but still terrible. Rush is one of the worst players in the entire league.
I
So
mean,
like
I don't want to say I said it, but you just can't put him in here against weaker players and thinking that he's gonna be able to perform the same way like he did on KT Roaster.
if he no again, if he played at the same level as he played, it's not about the players around him. If he played to his standard last year, this team would be in a better position. But he is very much underperforming. And
No, he is underperforming, but the issue is he just looks like he doesn't know what he's doing around the map anymore. He just
that's not because of members around. It's not because of team members. There's nothing we could have predicted of how he's playing right now. This is just an underperformance, and it's just something we could not have. Like you can't come into the beginning of the season with the way he played last season and say, yeah, this is exactly how he's going to play because he was pretty okay. I think he's pretty decent on KT. His map movement was pretty decent. He attempted to make things happen around the map. But now it just seems like in combination with the meta that I don't think suits him very well. I also don't think that he's playing it well. Like there's just too many variables that I say go against him to say it again, I do think he played well in KT and I do think this kind of meta doesn't suit him, but he's not playing to his standard.
definitely
Like,
not. You see,
yeah.
just so many. He can't. He just if he at the point he can't even play his Lee Sin, there's a problem.
Yeah, again, I don't think this game is going to be very close. I think the TSM has really just found a reasoning behind around the map. Smoothie stepped it up in the past few games. I would say his Thresh game is an outlier. That was just too much.
It was weird though. He was looked at on Cloud9 as MVP, and then he's kind of inconsistent this year with Sven. So
I think it's just I think it's a combination of him coming back to being a starter. All of last year, he was switching out from being a sub. He finally got us. Like, he didn't really have a starting roster until pretty much later on in the season, so he hasn't been playing consistently. And I think that he's going to have to get back in the groove. But he looks like he's finding his footing right now. Sven really did. I really do think Sven steps it up again. Like, that's another thing I'm really happy about. Bjergsen's had a lot of just a lot of great games recently. Broken Blade's been playing incredible the entire season, and Acadian is really what I would say is this TSM roster has needed the past few seasons. This not aggressive, but I would say more so he's proactive in the early game, and that's something that TSM has pretty much been lacking for like the entirety of their existence as as an organization, as an early game proactive jungler. And I think this TSM roster, I'd like to see them. This week is going to be the deciding factor of whether or not I think they've cemented themselves into the third place position, but we'll see. So I'm going to give TSM the win right here.
Yeah.
I don't think Echo Fox is that good right now.
I think Echo Fox can win against like teams like Optic, 100 Thieves, and Clutch, but when you put them even up against teams like Golden Guardians, they just look severely outclassed. It's not even by Phoenix. Phoenix and Solo are actually performing fairly consistent.
I do not give Solo that credit. Again, I think he's playing better. He's not playing that good. You're giving him a little bit too much credit. I said he's playing better than he did at the beginning of the season, but he's still terrible. Like, he is still probably one step above Rush right now. The bot lane is better than him, and mid lane is substantially better than him. So I would give credit to mid lane and bot, but Solo doesn't deserve that.
You just never
I'm not going to give him credit until he earns it, man. I'm sorry.
But at least Phoenix is performing pretty good for them, despite getting traded last year, getting swapped. Oh, man.
I didn't expect this much from him. I think this is just an overperformance on his part. This is ridiculous.
So what's the next game?
Golden Guardians versus Cloud9.
Is that anywhere less of a stomp? I think it's going to turn out a little... It's not going to be as bad as when they first played, but I think that it's going to be slightly interesting because Golden Guardians have improved since then. Golden Guardians have been... They haven't really been moving anywhere. It feels like they've kind of capped out at what style they want to play. Okay, and I think their style is the same thing the Echo Fox of 2017 was, which is have Frog and on a carry, sit in lane, and not put his resources anywhere else.
I'm kind of confused. Again, this website has now, this entire week for EU and NA has switched around on both of them, so we're just going to go with it. This might not be the order of the games, but we're just going to go with it.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're still talking about the games in general. At what point they're going to happen.
Yeah, so... Golden Guardians versus Cloud9, I think, again, you're right. I do think that Golden Guardians has substantially improved from the beginning of the year, but I do think Oli is still a big detriment to this team. I think that he played well at the second game of the week, but his first game was he was the reason they lost. Like, there was no reason he should have played. He should not have fed that hard against Piglet's Irelia. It was insane.
It's weird, though, because Piglet has always ever since he went to mid, he's always favored those different champions that aren't the norm, but I don't think. See, that's the problem. I didn't even think that he played the Irelia.
I thought his Irelia was pretty good.
We factor in definitely didn't take magic resistance on his runes, so.
I mean, Irelia does AD, so you don't.
He didn't take the magic against the frickin' A. I forgot why he didn't. There's a reason why he didn't take him, for some reason.
First the last rune is either going to be health. Did he take health, armor, or magic? I don't remember. I didn't look at his runes.
He needed to take MR for something because of based off how the comp on who was the team was he facing? The comp on Clutch Gaming's part because of Cassiopeia. There was a Cassiopeia and a Galio.
I'm gonna be honest. Again, definitely was playing Vic. Who was he playing? He was playing Yasuo. Okay, he was playing Yasuo that game. I think that he probably should have taken the armor runes, because he's going to he's in a melee matchup. I think that it might help out against the Alistar, honestly, but because Alistar is going to have the most damage in this lane early on, so it might give you the lane presence early. And I do think that, again, DeMonte, Lyra and Huni were playing AP champions, so I could see that. But like, I honestly think the dueling potential with the AD, and it does help against minions. I would think that the AD would work earlier on. Maybe the health would help, but for the most part, I don't know. I don't see armor being substantially worse.
Ooh. I think when you look at it in terms of that game, it's like they said they defined a style, and I was like, okay, at least they're not playing bad anymore. Because at least if they're playing a style, at least they have a game plan going into the game. So what's the next game after?
We haven't even decided anything about the Cloud9.
Oh
We
my
only
god!
talked about
Oh
last
my
week.
goodness, my brain ain't working. Omega.
So Golden Guardians again. I think Cloud9 is still a terrible matchup for them.
This is gonna be like a wait. Last time, wait, that was the fastest game of the split when they beat Golden Guardians. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be anything different this time around.
It's not going to be that fast again. I don't think Golden Guardians' laning phase has improved, and I do think that Froggen is playing better than Niski right now, to be honest. So I think that's slightly going to go in favor of Golden Guardians. Well, that's pretty much all I can give him credit for. Contrix is playing horrible. Hanser's playing moderately okay, but again, he's not going to match up well against the Licorice. The Deathly's playing well, but Sneaky is like the best ADC in the league right now, in my opinion. And then Zeyzal is just there's not even it's not even close between him and Ole right now.
I almost have a date. I'm about to lock it up, guys. You gotta give your boy the chat. Okay.
Don't do spastic memes when you go. Okay. But again, I think that it is just so much in favor of Cloud9 because again, even if the individual talent was in favor of Golden Guardians, I still think they lose this because they are just lost when it comes around the map. And I think just Cloud9 is the most decisive team in NA once they get a lead. I think they know how to push their leads. It's just a point of they're getting that lead that Cloud9 needs to work on, and I think they're pretty much golden.
Golden? Really? Were you trying to make a pun there?
I wasn't.
Oh my god. I think it's like Contracts. What is he doing? Did you see that Lee Sin kick he did?
I don't.
Like,
I'm disappointed in him.
Everything in like at Worlds 2017, he was competing up against like Clear Love and freaking Peanut, and he was helping Cloud9 stay in those games so they don't lose them. So he goes from facing Peanut and Clear Love in 2017, average, being okay, to like where the team isn't falling apart, to the point where he can't kick a person properly on Lee Sin. How the mighty have fallen. Holy crap. He was rookie of the split too. It doesn't matter. I think that Froggen is just playing the same way he's played forever. People don't really notice that because they're looking at how bad Contracts and Ole are playing, but what's the next game?
The next game is going to be CLG versus FlyQuest.
CLG versus FlyQuest?
Yes.
FlyQuest is supposed to be like top tier, but I think they're top tier, as I've said, only because the other teams just aren't performing well.
I'm going to be honest, I do think their individual talent is not terrible. Viper is not a bad top player.
They're not good. Santorin's playing like an MVP jungler, but...
Yeah, again, and then Pobalt just playing out of his mind. I think there's 3 players on this team that I say are top tier.
But I think that if the other team's top tiers players played at the level we know they can play, FlyQuest would easily probably be like 7th.
I don't even know about that. Like, I think their individual talent as it stands right now is better than Golden Guardians. It's better than Echo Fox for sure. It's better than I'd honestly put them better than CLG too. I think as it stands right now, individual talent, I think that FlyQuest has just been surprising this year. A lot of people are improving. I think a lot of people on the FlyQuest roster are improving. The only thing holding the FlyQuest team back from top tier is going to be this bot lane. I think they are the biggest detriment to this team's success. But it does not really matter because I don't think they're. I think they're a solid middle tier team. I don't think anybody besides maybe an improving 100 Thieves, maybe an improving Clutch Gaming. I think those are the only teams that I could see being better than them. But we're not going to see that because I don't think that 100 Thieves and Clutch Gaming really just don't have the macro. Aframu's in a terrible spot right now in his career. So I just don't, like, again, I don't want to take away credit from what FlyQuest is doing because I don't think they're insanely decisive, but they do get stuff done around the map. They do, like, honestly try and push their leads, even though they don't do it properly sometimes. So proactivity is always something that I will give credit to. But their individual talent has drastically been something that I would say no one could have predicted. So
here's the thing. For FlyQuest and
CLG,
it's really interesting because I don't even really know how to really put this. It's like FlyQuest on paper should look weaker, but some of the players are overperforming, but the players on COG, I feel like this is a cap where we're going to see them. I think we're going to see them get into playoffs, and I think we're going to see them get like losing the first round.
I don't even know if I'm not even convinced they're going to make the playoffs because I do think they. Well, again, I think their strongest point in the season was that first game against Cloud9, where they defined that style and they got the Ezreal. They gave Darshan a tank, and I do think that was like I saw something good out of them. But that's essentially been their concept. It's an Ezreal in bot lane, a tank in the top, like a tank. Like it's just been this engaged tank support. I still don't think they have a competent enough jungler for me to give credit to CLG. On top of the fact that this style is really just like if you ban the Ezreal, I just don't think it works out that well. I think that's been the most definitive part of their style. I thought they could work it around if they used like a Sivir and stuff, something else with self peel, but it's just not going to happen.
I think when it comes to them, like it's just the same thing I said about the EU teams. It's like they have one style they play, and it's something Yamato said along with Attila in the Euphoria podcast is that can easily be exploited when you move to best of fives. Like now, it can't get exploited because there's just not enough like champions to ban and enough time to really kind of figure out how to beat it because you're in best of ones. But that style is gonna get like that's just so bad. I've seen that style. It's not gonna work for them, honestly.
If they perfected it, I could see it working.
But that's the thing, though.
But it's just not well. It's not well molded. They got a style, and now they're not doing it well. And I don't think they're capable because their individual talent. Stixxay has been pretty much, in my opinion, not great this year. He's had a far too many games where I say he just was the liability on the team.
I don't want to be controversial, but Biofrost has looked kind of bad since he left TSM.
He's had a lot. No, I think the last season he was fine.
That's why I said kinda. He doesn't look awful.
Well, I mean, again, that is up to like again. I think it's mostly because he is not. I mean, Stixxay and Biofrost were young-ish bot lane by that point, and they really had both been the person who had been getting pointed around the map, like this is what you do by both Aftermoon and Double Lift. When they got separated,
I got a date. I'm so happy.
I'm very proud of you.
Oh my goodness, oh my god, I haven't had. Oh, good night, guys. I'm sorry if I'm looking really happy. I got a date like right now. I'm recording this video. Oh my god, this girl is so hot. Whew, man. All right, next game.
Okay. We're not even done with this one.
I'm so happy right now. You can't.
Well, shut your mouth and go dwell in there.
FlyQuest, I think it's not gonna be a clean game, but I think FlyQuest is gonna win.
I mean, it's gonna be a clean game in my opinion. Again, CLG is really just capped out in what I think they're capable of. I think that with this specific style, I think that once you take away the Ezreal from Stixxay, I'm not too impressed with them anymore. So is when you give FlyQuest pretty much anything in the bot lane, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was hyped up on Wiggly coming in because I had seen him like grow as a player, but it's just not translating to the stage yet. Or maybe you know it is his first split, but maybe he comes out because it happens with players like him. Like they'll come out, they'll be like average for their first split, and then come out in the second split of their year and then be absolutely incredible. We saw that for Licorice. You know, he was like good, and then he became like MVP, beating like every single top laner league. So like I have some hope for Wiggly still. I don't really have hope for the rest of the team yet. I mean, Power of Evil, he was supposed to be at least like top 4 mid.
I think he's been okay, but he's not. Yeah,
but I think he's been top 4 mid just because the rest of the mid laners is just that bad.
I don't think he's even top 4 mid. Like I'll give him credit. I do think he's playing decent in some games, but if you looked at the Cloud9 game, he was just whiffing ult after ult against them. He was one of the bigger reasons as to why I think they struggled so hard because he just couldn't land anything. Like again, I think the biggest reason was most likely going to be this bot lane. I think they got exploited a little too hard like earlier on, and so did the jungle. Like again, like I like that first gank by Jarvan, which was gonna essentially put the bot lane ahead.
Yeah.
And then they just threw it after that. Sneaky was essentially just able to do whatever he wanted.
Like I think if you look at that, it's just weird though because that game in particular. I think that's the game plan they were planning to play week 2 against CLG. It's that CLG drafted better. Like sometimes it's like when we first started doing this was that teams when they beat a team the first week, if the team advances next time around, they're not going to lose to them. We saw Cloud9 get extremely better, and then we saw CLG get extremely worse.
Extremely worse.
So yeah, I think FlyQuest win this game. And who are you going to say?
I have to say FlyQuest. I like CLG, but their roster is not looking too good right now.
Next game.
Optic versus Liquid.
I mean, video's over, guys. Bye. Okay,
Do that joke one more time. I'm gonna sock you, man.
I
Come
own
on.
the channel.
You don't own the channel.
It's in my name.
It's not in your name either.
Okay. Okay, so today,
What are you
I don't
doing?
know if you guys watched the LCS videos they put out for all the teams. I'm not subscribed to every single team, obviously. I'm only subscribed to, like, Cloud9, 100 Thieves, CLG, TSM, almost all of them. But, because it's nice to see them put out content and try to gain fans if you don't have a bigger fan base. When I was watching the Optic games at the gym tonight, they put out a video. Crown can't physically talk to his team, and it's causing really big detriment. You guys can watch the video on their channel. This is 100% what they've said. Against the Cloud9 game, Meteos told Crown, hey, I'm going to go in first. I can't die. You will. Well, he didn't understand that. So he goes in first, then he dies, and then that's when you guys saw Cloud9 win the game. So that's a problem with them, as we predicted going in. It's very visible. They can't really understand each other. Communication is just really bad at this point.
I do think that is a big detriment to this team, but I have to give credit, even though that is a big detriment. I really do like the way Cron's been playing, so I'll give him some slack because he's been one of the better performing.
Yeah, people don't even like dislike him. The Optic fans are fine. They said he's playing like one of the best mids in the league. The problem is like if he can't communicate with his team, then it goes. You can't really do much with that.
The good thing about this Optic lineup is it doesn't matter who they put in the jungle. I really like the performance of both of them. You either get the early aggressive, early game engages from what I would say is Dardoch, or you get what I would say is probably the better shot calling later on in the series, because Dardoch, he tries to get the game rolling earlier on, but I do think he makes a lot of shot calling mistakes to mid to late game.
But I think that he wins harder enough early on to the point where that won't really matter.
Sometimes, I mean, he's definitely not won every game. I think that he has a lot of weaknesses in terms of just like his late game shot, because Optic's problem is they don't I think that for sure Optic would be in a better spot with Darshan if they had a secondary shot caller. I don't like big shot calling too much. I do think he just puts too much reliance on the
laning
trading. Trading objectives for specific things. He trades instead of going for these like rotational choices. Like these are gambles every single time. He like traded.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, because the coach talked about it too. He told him that in the game against TSM, where they said they should have won, they said they lost the game because TSM really didn't win it because Optic kind of threw. He said what they did was that instead of going for vision and then obviously getting deeper vision to pick somebody off, then do Baron, they just started doing Baron, and I think that was a big decision.
I think it's mostly like if you looked at their game against who did they play?
They lost.
No, it was. I mean, again, you saw their game against Clutch Gaming. They completely out-rotated them. I did like that one.
Well, the video that I was talking about was before the 2-0 week. Like when
but if you look at their 100 Thieves game, you saw a lot of they rotate when they're taking Dragon and all this stuff. They try and trade turrets for it. Like that's another thing that I think is a very large weakness, because that's not insanely good shot. That's just gambling and forcing them into a trading situation, because again, the turret does give you a substantial lead earlier on, but these stats do end up like mattering, because he doesn't look for engages, more so as map rotation macro, and I don't like that. I don't like his engages either. I do think he's one of the better performing players on this team, which is kind of crazy to say, but like that's still that I don't think their shot calling is great to the point where it's capable for Dardoch to be a main player on this team, because I think Meteos is kind of needed to be the secondary shot caller for some points. Like I think that Dardoch works better against these Cloud9 teams, against all these things, but that's pretty much the only time I'd say it's possible.
I think that the team looks marginally different with Dardoch compared to Meteos for the main roster. Like
I do think they both look good though. That's a good thing about it.
Dardoch's games were sloppy. Meteos' games were like kind of more controlled.
I think I think Dardoch is more so he's pushing for an early game advantage.
But they got early game leads with Meteos too. They have the best early game in the entire league actually.
Again, in comparison to Dardoch, I'm going by
and all the teams, they have the best early game leads at like 15
minutes.
minutes.
I still think it's because of Dardoch. Is it not? Are the stats not in favor of Dardoch? I haven't checked the stats on that. This is just going by my eyesight, what I see in the games. I do see Dardoch making most of the early game aggressive plays. Meteos does make plays, but it's not because he doesn't set up most of them. I still do think he's one of those kind of more passive early game junglers, and I do think, I mean, again, it pays off for the most part. If the lane doesn't like go in the favor of the other enemy team, I do think that Optic is in a like substantially good place because Meteos' shot calling is pretty tremendous, but I think that's a big detriment to this team.
Yeah, they're playing up against who you said.
Liquid. I mean, there's just again. I mean, at this point, they're
Core
gonna have
JJ
to.
versus Core JJ versus Crown again.
Yeah, I think that
That's
a
kinda
big
cool.
thing is gonna be. I want. I want to see Dart. I mean, Dardoch should probably play this game. I think that's the best choice because they need this early game pressure. But I think it's kind of something that does go against Team Liquid's playstyle. They need that. I think that big shot calling is something that I could see paying off because they don't have the individual talent to compete with Liquid. So these trading objectives and trying to keep out of the team fights is probably going to be the best choice. So I think that Optic is kind of a bad matchup for Liquid in terms of playstyles, but not in terms of players because I think that again, Core JJ is just too good at engaging. He's going to force them into team fights. All of these things, Team Liquid individually is not going to fall behind. So Dardoch, I don't think is going to get things done unless he really does make the team make it go drastically in favor of the Optic gaming. But I don't think it's going to happen. So I think Team Liquid wins this pretty handily, probably in a quick fashion.
If Optic could only do what Origin did to G2, like if Crown could talk to his team and if Crown could pick like some really off meta assassin and have their early game like flourish a lot more, I think that they would have a chance. But since Crown can't talk to them, he can't like even have that as an option for him right now.
I'm gonna give credit. I do think Optic is gonna be a top tier team in the second set, like in the summer split, because once Crown does get his talking kind of short up, I think the option for two junglers that do have two different play styles, on top of the fact that individual talent in what I would say is jungle and mid, and there is actually, I think Arrow's kind of stepped it up this past week.
It's nothing substantial, but it's something.
I mean, it's a lot better. I still think, like, again, I did not like Osta's play. A lot of people calling for Asta to come back after 1 week. Do you think that Arrow's play was pretty poor the first week he came back, but Asta's horrible. Stop asking for that. He's terrible.
Asta hasn't even played good in the academy.
He didn't feed one of the games, and I think a lot, like, again, he has not done anything to where I would say is substantially
He had like
promising.
one good game against on Ezreal, and they beat like CLG for week 1.
It wasn't even good though. That's the problem. Like it wasn't just a good mechanical play. It wasn't anything. He actually started losing the laning phase in what I would say is a winning matchup, but it ended up going well because Crown started winning mid pretty hard.
And then the last game is what? Clutch versus 100 Thieves, right?
Yes.
Oh man, these guys are terrible.
I think shut your mouth.
Guys, I told you they were gonna be bad.
You didn't think anything. You didn't give me a reason. Your reasoning behind it.
I said Piglet was middle to middle. I said Piglet and Vulcan were gonna be like middle tier, and they're like a middle tier bot lane right now.
I think they're still towards the top side.
Their
bot lane. Their bot lane is not bad. I mean, it's not good in comparison to Doublelift and what's it called, or Zazel and Sneaky, but it's still not terrible.
You said they were gonna be better than them.
I said they were gonna. I didn't say Doublelift and Core JJ.
You said Piglet. You said Piglet and Vulcan were gonna be better than Sneaky and Zazel.
Sneaky's been playing out of his mind this year, so I've taken that back.
Gosh,
I've been wrong.
Like Lyra's better than Onda.
Lyra's playing so much better at these past few weeks that I think a lot of people need to start giving him credit. He's stepped it up substantially. The biggest reason as to why they lost that last game against Optic is solely in the hands of Huni and what's his name?
Huni.
Actually, I'll give 3 people because Huni.
Oh, the Optic loss.
Vulcan, yeah, Huni, Vulcan, and Damonte actually played pretty poorly.
I think that was the bot lane. That was not the bot lane. That was more the mid lane. Crown just clapped him.
Crown was not up in CS really. It was one solo kill that I think is really hard to avoid because Zoe can really punish slight mistakes. But Damonte stepped it up towards the middle of the late game, so I can't put too much credit on him. He did start playing a lot better towards like the later half, but Vulcan was horrible. A lot of the picks they could have had were just missed because, like again, he missed point blank Braum Qs. Like a lot of these things were just his fault.
Yeah, and it was weird.
Huni needed to get through his head that he needed to stop engaging on top of the Vlad.
Well, you said they put him on a tank, and they put him on a tank. Like
it's not the problem. It was the problem was his choices for engaging. Like he kept trying to pick off the Vlad, which worked out some of the times, but And I think
I
like,
think
but
he
it
forgets
just
that
didn't work out enough.
Vlad can pull immediately as you start the ultimate.
No, he got him every single time with the ult. It wasn't the problem. He thought he can kill him fast enough, and he did predict the what's it called, but there just wasn't enough fall damage to kill the Vlad fast enough, so they didn't do it. Like Hooney is a big problem for this team right now. He needs to realize like this is his problem. Like again, I think it's a mentality thing at this point because he should not be playing this bad.
I think if you look at it in terms of 100 Thieves, it's not looking that much better either. I think
Aftermoo, yeah, again, Aftermoo and Hui are terrible right now.
I don't even really think it's Afro. Like if you look at the 100 Thieves videos, he's trying hard. He's playing out of his mind. But
He's playing terrible. You can't.
But that's the thing though. He you can play out of your mind and still play bad. But
I mean, he's playing. So like he's not. It's not like he's not trying. His main like again. I want to point out.
He's playing like Joker from Sandbox. He's always trying to do something, whether it's the right or good thing.
Yeah. I want to point out something. Like I think that Afromu is in a very terrible spot mentally. I went to the LCS. The dude was angry at me. I remember that. I took a picture with him and he glared at me.
He talked about stuff like that right after that week. He was just frustrated on how the team was operating, on how
I understand that, but again, it's a mentality. Like again, there's a lot of things he's taking his frustration. You can tell that he takes his frustration out on the team just based off of what I would say is body language.
Well, he's the team captain.
He shouldn't be the team captain. He's right now, in my opinion, the worst or second worst performing player on this team. I don't care if you're a leadership type person. You got to hand over the mantle if you are underperforming to this extent, or at least take credit for some of the take blame for some of the stuff you're doing wrong. Like I don't see that happening. Well, he's still playing the characters that I think right now he needs to work his way back up to getting these playmaking characters. I liked him on the Braum, and I liked that. That is pretty much what I'd like to see him on for a bit because I don't like his other characters right now. I don't like anything else he plays. He needs to essentially take the backseat, let Someday and Bang take the lead.
Well, they tried that. This is the thing, though, is that Someday's best performance came off clutch playing Zillion top. That was his best performance all year.
I don't even think that was just it. Like, he's played well against a substantial amount of teams Someday.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been bad, but what was he on? He was on Urgot. Urgot literally is not going to be in the LCS. They just nerfed the living crap out of him. His W shield got nerfed.
What I'm saying is, if you looked at the CLG versus 100 Thieves game, I think that was probably, in my opinion, that was probably the what's it called? You want to see Aatrox, or not specifically Aatrox, but Someday on a carry.
The Aatrox jungle to kind of facilitate the Urgot.
Onda played so well that game. I think Onda's played slightly better than he's been playing for the recent beginning half of the season. He's played a little bit better.
The issue is, I think, is that Bang and Afromu just aren't a compatible bot lane. It's something that Febevin said, is that just because these players, like, if you put a superstar team together, technically like them, they're not really superstars, but a few superstars together, just because they had success before doesn't mean they're going to have success together and translate it together. That's the thing.
It's not the laning phase, so I can't really say that. It's more so Afromu's choices around the map. The shot calling is terrible.
It's that thing. It's what you just said. It's
not compatibility between these two.
But it's something else you mentioned. What's the thing you said before that?
Compatibility?
The thing before that.
The shot calling?
Yeah. The way he looks at the game could be severely different to how Bang looks at the game, and the way how Hui looks at the game, and
I mean the way Bang's playing.
All those things factor in too.
No, more so the way Bang's playing, he's being the one that's facilitating, and he can facilitate any play style with his play.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say, is what you're saying, is that the way he sees about doing it could be a completely different way that
I understand what you're saying, but again, Bang is, it's not the play style mashup. I think it's more so improper play and bad shot calling. I think that if Afromu was shot calling properly to his style, like his style of shot calling that he was doing in the past seasons, I think it would have been fine. Like Bang is the kind of player where he can play pretty much any of the styles because his type of player fits any style.
I think this would work on a team where you could speak the same language.
I think Bang's English is actually pretty decent. I checked it out in one of the videos.
Yeah, that's not bad, but I feel like all these players just have a different way they want to play the game, and these styles are just not working out.
I mean, I'm actually completely fine with, like, again, I think that Bang, I would like to see this exact same, what's it called? I think Braum should be the main choice for Afromu for a bit. Again, give Bang some sort of AD carry. It doesn't matter which one you give him. Just give something that gives him kind of control over the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to give him anymore. Like, he's just been so terrible.
Give him Rise.
And I really did like on this Camille, but I don't think Camille's in a great spot.
Oh no, after the way the changes work to the all the runes that they just made to the
It's
top
more.
laners.
It was the stun. They
Yeah,
removed the stun on camps, and that kind of messed her up in the jungle.
I think Aphro just put him on like Orin.
No, I really like. Again, I think that Braum is probably his best. Like again, he needs to take that. Like I think he's still more so better as one of those tanky supports. But I do think he does better at like these Alistar, not Alistars. Like I think Braum, I think Orm would be pretty decent, but I don't care about his engaging. I think he just needs to peel.
My thing is that like they all had high expectations coming into the split. Afro said he wants to go back to the finals. He wants to, prove that they are a playoff caliber team. They were power ranked by many people to be what, top 3, top 4.
I
Some
still think
people,
it's possible.
they might have a higher ceiling. That's the thing, though, is that people are thinking just because you put star players on a team that automatically translates to success, that doesn't mean that they're going to work out together. This is a clear example of it. Is that
It's not a clear example because again, this is still too early in the season for me to say
is it too
hasn't
early,
worked out.
dude?
It is too early.
Dude, there's like 2 weeks left in the split, or 3 weeks left.
It doesn't matter. It's
That's like
still the
6
first
games
split.
left.
Still the first split. There's an entire other half of the season. I still think this team could work out.
But we've seen this happen with other teams kind of like them too in the past.
Saying that I want to see more out of it before I say it's over because clutches. I mean, at this point, 100 Thieves needs to realize that you're not going to get better players at this point. Maybe in the mid lane, replace the mid laner at the most. But I think the biggest problem on this team right now is just again, it's just poor play. Like
Yeah,
poor mechanical play is the biggest problem with this
poor
team.
mechanical play, poor map rotations. They're trying to play the same style they played last year, except with players that don't do that style. Like they're trying to play that all we give up something, you get something, we lose, we lose, we lose. Like you don't have Cody's son, on 5 items anymore. The meta is not late game. They're trying to play the same style they played last year. They're just getting outclassed. I don't think Clutch isn't any better. I don't even know who. I don't even care who wins this match, honestly. I'll say Clutch wins. I think Clutch, even despite how bad they look, they still have a direction at least. They have a direction. All the players are going like, okay, we can only play this. That's fine. That's at least something better than what 100 Thieves is showing.
I mean, Clutch Gaming is still struggling with a lot of similar aspects. I think Hooney needs to step it up if this team wants to succeed. He needs to realize, like again, he needs to take this back seat until he can start getting his mindset back in order. I think that his first game of the season is still one of the best top lane performances we've seen, but it's been a long time since then.
True.
I think that 100 Thieves, again, I think they can start playing better towards the later half of the season, but it's going to have to, at this point, going to come from the fact that I think they need to get their mindset in order. I think a lot of these teams are just struggling with identity crisis stuff. So I'd like to see them succeed, but as it stands right now, I think neither one of these teams are going to make it to playoffs. So I'm going to give the win to Clutch Gaming, but that's just because I think that the strongest point in
Like DeMonte's playing better than Huhi.
yeah, I think the strongest point in bot lane is going to be counteracted because I think Piglet's aggressive laning phase is going to
pretty much SKT ADC's going at it.
Yeah, Piglet's aggressive early game ADC skills are going to counteract 100 Thieves. So I'm going to give credit to 100. I'm going to give the win to Clutch Gaming.
A lot of LCK players on this team, former Huni and someday LCK players, and the bot lane. It's crazy.
So, yep, that's pretty much it. You got anything else to say?
Nah, this was day 1 NA week 6 predictions. I think, yeah, sorry about the kind of rant at the first part of the video, guys. I just don't think EU's teams are a lot better either. I still don't, and it's not that it's substantially worse. It's not substantially better. It is better, but it's not like by a lot. I still think China's performing better out of all the regions. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I think China's just not all the regions. I still give LCK that credit, but I do think China's play style is counteractive to a lot of them, and I do think individually they do have a lot of talent. But I wouldn't say again. A lot of the teams are only succeeding in China because of the Korean players. You take the Koreans out of there, they don't succeed, and a lot of the only. Well, I'm not lying, man. Doing the Shy, rookie, like all these teams, I think there's a lot of credit. Like again, Knight is a good player from China.
Knight, Loken, they're playing good.
But China would not be in the same place if they did not have the Koreans they have. I'm sorry. And I do think that a lot of it comes down to, I think that Korea still has the individual talent in comparison to the rest of the league. I think that Griffin is by far and away the best team in the league. The entire world right now.
That's the thing. They're not even really challenged. Like, I mean, Griffin's good. I'm not gonna lie. They should probably be in your global power rankings for like number
They
one,
should.
but they're
They
not really
should be.
challenged.
It's
Like,
not
are
about
they
being
challenged? They're not
well.
even really like they're
What
beating.
region would challenge them? Tell me a region that could
I
challenge
think
them.
if IG faced them, they would beat them in like best of ones. Like MSI, if IG went, I think IG could beat them.
I don't think. I mean,
think
IG is
is
probably as it stands right now. I don't see IG going unless they start stepping up their play.
because I think that like a team like IG is able to counteract that playstyle. They did that in their own region. There are teams just like Griffin in the LPL that play just like them.
The problem with
IG
IG is not as smart as Griffin is.
That's the thing.
IG is not like they're mechanically just as good in certain aspects in mid and top, but they lose in the jungle. They lose in the bot lane hard.
I don't know.
Like,
Nick's been performing really well though.
He's been playing fine, but he's not better than Tarzan. Not even close.
That's the thing though. Who's challenging Tarzan in the LCK though? Nobody.
It doesn't matter.
That's not like Clid.
It's not about again. Clid is better than. I mean, in my opinion, Clid is playing better than Ning too. Like there's quite a bit of junglers in the LCK better than Ning.
That is true, but we're gonna have to do that in our global power rankings where we're gonna put them at. You're gonna put Fun plus Phoenix is still the only undefeated team,
and I still don't think they're that good. Like if they got in a best of 5, if they got in a best of 7,
best of 7,
not even best of just 7-game series without a best of, they just played 7 games. Griffin would beat them 7 times.
Griffin probably scrims them because a lot of those LPL teams do scrim the Korean teams that they've talked about it.
I think that I'll give Funplex Phoenix. They do have great shot calling.
They have some great.
Their mechanical skill. Bot lane is not great. I still think if we look at their last season, they were one of the weaker bot lanes in the league, and I think that's just been covered up with good shot calling, good aggressive roams from mid, good aggressive. This mid jungle duo is the decisive reason as to why this Fun plus Phoenix team is succeeding.
Also true. So I hope you guys really did enjoy our video. Sorry about the little rants here and there. Eventually these points are going to come up anyway, and someone's going to bring them up anyway, so I thought we might as well talk about them. I really don't think Griffin's being challenged in their league, but hey, that could be just me being a challenger scrub. So see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Right after this, we'll be doing
You don't have to say anything about that.
Oh my god, you're so mean. I hate you. All right, peace out. Bye.